Hello, my dear children. Are you all happy at home? Hope you all are happy. Students, do you remember the previous class? Yes, we began a new lesson. Right. So, what is the title of the lesson? Yes, very good. The Book of Nature. It is a letter written by Jawaharlal Nehru to his 12-year-old daughter Indira. Students, I told you to read this lesson thoroughly. Hope you all read it. Now, I want to ask you some questions. What is the author trying to tell his daughter? Can you tell me the answer? Yes, the author is trying to tell his daughter about short accounts of the story of the earth. Nehru says that he cannot have talks with his daughter. Why? Nehru was in Allahabad and his daughter was in Missouri. Therefore, they couldn't have talks with each other. Why did Nehru say that Indira would read about the earth in fact books? When grows up, Indira would read about the earth from geography textbooks. Moreover, she would know more about the earth from reference books like encyclopedia. Students, now shall we move on to the rest of the letter? So all of you take page number 89. I'll give you a model reading and all of you listen attentively and find out the difficult words. You read history in books, but in old times, when men did not exist, surely no books could have been written. How then can we find out what happened then? We cannot merely sit down and imagine everything. This would be very interesting, for we could imagine anything we wanted to and would thus make up the most beautiful fairy tales. But this need not be true as it would not be based on any facts that we had seen. But although we have no books written in those far off days, fortunately we have some things which tell us a great deal as well, almost as a book would. We have rocks and mountains and seas and stars and rivers and deserts and fossils of old animals. These and other like things are our books for the earth's early story. And the real way to understand the story is not merely to read about it in other people's books, but to go to the great book of nature itself. Students, now shall we discuss the new words and their meanings? Exist means live. Imagine from a mental image of. Fairy tales, impossible story. Fact means truth. Fortunately means luckily. Fossils, remains of prehistoric animals or plants. Merely means simply. Now I'll explain this paragraph. Through his letter, Nehru told Indira about the historical period when men did not exist. At that time, no books have been written. Then he wrote about people's imagination about historical periods. He wrote that it is very interesting to imagine and to build up most beautiful fairy tales. But it need not be true because it would not be based on any facts that we had seen. Nehru said that in historical periods, even if there were no men and no books, there were something which tell us great things like a book. Nehru listed out those valuable things like rocks, mountains, seas, stars, rivers, deserts, and fossils of old animals, in which we could see our Earth's early story. Nehru advised Indira that instead of depending on other people's books to understand the real early story of Earth, he encouraged Indira to read the great books of nature itself. By reading the book of nature, Nehru means observing and trying to find out the secret behind every object of the nature. So, Nehru considers nature as a great book to read. Students, Hope you all understood this paragraph. Am I right? So, shall we move on to the next paragraph? I'll read this paragraph and all of you find out the difficult words. You will, I hope, soon begin to learn how to read the story from the rocks and mountains. Imagine how fascinating it is. Every little stone that you see lying on the road or on the mountainside may be a little page in nature's book and may be able to tell you something if you only knew how to read it. To be able to read any language, Hindi or Urdu or English, you have to learn its alphabet. So, also, you must learn the alphabet of nature before you can read her story in her books of stone and rock. Even now, perhaps you know a little how to read this. Hope you all identify the difficult words. So, shall we discuss those words and their meanings? Fascinate means attract. Mountainside means the sloping surface of a mountain. Students, now it's time for the explanation. All of you listen carefully. Nehru had a hope that his daughter could learn how to read the story from the rocks and mountains. Nehru considered every little thing in this nature as a page in a book. That is nature's book. In the author's point of view, if we want to read something in a book, we should have to learn its alphabet. Likewise, if we want to learn nature, we should learn the alphabet of nature. Through this letter, the author advised his daughter to observe everything in nature to find the secret behind them. Students, did you understand this paragraph? Okay. Now let's move on to an activity. So all of you take page number 93. Here is an activity for you. Look, activity 3. I'll read the question. The present world faces many threats. It is our duty to protect nature. Imagine that your school nature club is organizing an awareness program to protect nature. Prepare a speech for the occasion. So here you are asked to prepare a speech to be delivered in an awareness program to protect nature. Students, below that question, some features of a speech are given below. Who's the speech addressed to? What's the salutation? How will you begin the speech? You can begin your speech with a quotation. Which lines would you like to quote? What are the ideas that you wish to convey? Sequence your ideas according to their order of importance. How will you conclude your speech? Students, these are the features of a speech. Now, I'll give you a sample of a speech. All of you observe this sample of a speech carefully and understand how to write it. It starts with a salutation. Good morning, everyone. I'm standing before you to talk about my topic, nature. We human beings depend on nature every time for everything like natural resources. Many people admire the beauty of nature. Even they write many novels and poems on it because the beauty of nature cannot be expressed in one single thought or saying. Nature provides the humans, animals, and all the living beings on the earth a place to live. Nature is the world around, as I said before, only, but human beings are destroying it by using its resources in the wrong way and exploiting it. Nature is now totally getting destroyed because of pollution and global warming. So, with the help of this sample of a speech, you can write this activity. So, students, all of you try to do this activity yourself, and we will meet in the next class with the rest of this letter. Thank you, dear children.